Oh, is it the song?
Yeah. Welcome to a special edition of Up on the Bars. We're supposed to have Peter Murphy joining us tonight. He may pop in here in a little bit. I talked to him this morning and said he was coming, so we shall see. But tonight we have Cory Penfold. Cory Penfold has been on the show with me before. Everybody's seen him. He is the owner of Moxie Media and Promotions, and he also has been promoted to a new role this year as promoter of Willamette Speedway. So, Cory, tell us a little bit about that transition and what that's been doing for you so far. Let's talk about that.
That has been, we're only 2 races in, but man, it's been a challenge to say the least. I mean, there's just so many things. You can spend your entire life in racing like I have, but until you actually buy a racetrack and see everything that goes on, it's a challenge. I'll say that it's a challenge. There's a lot of little things you don't see, little things you have to deal with, that the average person that even growing up at the racetrack, you don't see until you're in that position. And it will test you. I'll tell you that right now. It will test you in more ways than one.
All right. So I want to ask you, okay, you got the deal settled on your track. You jumped in, you started getting sponsorship and all this other stuff. Once that started rolling, as the season got ready to start, what was the biggest challenge that you faced right off the bat?
The biggest challenge, I guess, is, well, it's kind of, for us, it was different because of the situation with Willamette. With the county and the city, it's kind of, the city's kind of expanding towards the racetrack and just making sure everything's in line with permits and everything's up to date. That was kind of, because like I said, there's so many things you have to do and you have to make sure they're done right because you don't want to give these guys a reason to come after you. And there's been some challenges with that. And there was some stuff way back in the day that was needed to be corrected. The Shrams did that. Others came along and did some things without going through the proper channels, and we had to fix a couple of those things. The Shrams did a great job last year getting everything, for the most part, corrected. There was nothing major that we really had to do, but double checking on stuff, a couple little tiny things that we got done that needed to be done. Other than that, it's just been a challenge making sure all that stuff is right. That right there is important. You have to do that if you're gonna own a racetrack. You got to make sure all that stuff is good with the city and the county, because you do not want to give those guys a reason or give them even an inkling to come after you.
Yeah. Well, I put up on their Drive for Diabetes Awareness Incorporated. That's the QLs down there in Florida. I met them through Ed Renzi. So I want to support them. Lacey, quite the young driver and all that stuff. So give them a quick shout out. Jimmy Owen says, good evening, guys. Jimmy Owen, Cory Penfold, you guys are doing great. Nina Bomina, hello, gentlemen. Somebody else said, what's up? So focus on the youth at your track and you shall succeed in the long run. The kids are the future supporters. Willamette Speedway is on point, Pete Bound. So you're already getting a lot of feedback on there for Willamette Speedway. So that's awesome to say. I just wanted to give the QLs a shout out because they've been talking with me quite a bit on the background, and I want to help support what they do. My brother was a diabetic all of his life, and something that's kind of near and dear to me. But all right, so you had your first show, what, 2 weekends ago?
Yes, we had opening week 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
You were the only track in Oregon that managed to get open. Well, in Northern California and Oregon, you were, I know Wairika canceled, everybody canceled, but you. So how cold was it at your track that night? I have to ask that question.
Extremely. It was the features. It was 40 degrees during the features. We waited out two showers two good sized showers and a hailstorm, got the show rolling and got it in and done by curfew. Opening night, we had, a great crowd considering what they had to sit through to get to that show as far as, the weather, the temperatures. We had 51 cars show up opening night with 4 classes, which honestly, I was surprised given, again, the temperatures and the threat of weather. Most guys will just say, you know what, I'm not going to risk it. We had 51 drivers show up, and it was a good turnout. Phenomenal racing that night. We had the track record broke in the modified division 3 times that night. So it was something to witness, I'm telling you.
Who was the record holder now? Because I know I was watching.
Well, it was Matthew Drager coming in. He had it at a 15.238. Bryson James went out early in qualifying and broke that with a 15.217. Then Ian Whistler came out. That kid's 14 years old in an IMCA modified, and he went out and went 15.181. Then his older brother, Eston, who is 17, came out and smashed that with a 14.769. Unbelievable. 14.7 at Willamette in a modified. If you haven't been to Willamette Speedway and you don't realize how big that track is, that's an impressive run of 14.769.
All right, so here we go. Right, we're going to get back to the cold night. Nina, freezing. Jessica Becker rolling. It was freezing, but the real one stuck around. Ed Waldrop, I froze my butt off.
Yeah, we all did.
I asked that because the weekend before I was in Wairika and we were calling the race in the grandstands. My year has been a lot of grandstands. I haven't been up there before. That wind bowling through the grandstands over there on those aluminum benches, I couldn't wait to get in the damn car. Oh my God.
I've been there. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I've done that same stuff. It makes for a long night.
It's Stephen Blakesley. I've only been to Willamette once, and I was very young, but a visit I'll never forget. Pits in the infield were cool back then. Hope you guys have a good season. So,
thank you, Stephen. Appreciate that. Our pits are no longer in the middle; they're out back. That's one thing the fans truly miss because they were out there for 45 years. They were on the infield, and when you sit in the stands and the pits are on the infield, you can really see a lot going on, whether that's crews coming together to help each other out, rival teams helping each other out on their cars, or rival drivers fighting it out. I mean, it's all right there in front of you. Unfortunately, we don't have that anymore because of safety issues. It's just so much easier for a driver to pull in, drop the back door on the trailer and race out of the trailer. It's just so much easier and safer.
Okay, I was just going to ask because I noticed I watch I have to say I've become involved in media this year. I finally am having to admit that. I didn't.
How are you liking that, Roy?
Oh, it's a challenge. Is all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Steve, add some stories to that. You have no idea. I just spent the weekend with Moxie Mike down there at Stockton 99, all that. But I'm noticing all the tracks back east still do the pitting in the infield.
I love it. I think it's great. It's great for the show. It truly is. As a racer, I get it. It's inconvenient having to pull over the track. And if there's a rain out, you play hell getting out of the pits over the track on the dirt tracks. Insurance wise, it does help with insurance, to put them out back where things are safer. It makes a big difference.
So they haven't come out and said you couldn't do it. If y'all wanted to actually do something like that, it probably could happen.
If we wanted to put a wall around the inside of the track to protect the drivers, you could. But given today's, the way people race today with the big haulers and the big trailers, there's no way we could do at Willamette what we did back then where we had 150 cars, 125 cars every Saturday night on the infield. You can't do that anymore with the size of these haulers. Guys wanting to race out of their trailers. It would be really hard to do that.
Yeah. I was just asking because I got to see that and experience that at Eldora and watching the haulers.
It's cool.
And you get to see what the banking is on a track like that when they start going out there. I mean, that's kind of like pulling a Willamette Pass coming out of the track. It's like, holy crap. That's when you look at it, it doesn't look that big, but then you get a vehicle on there and then it was like, man, there's a lot of banking on that corner.
We took a late model to Eldora in '96 to race a UMP Summer Nationals event. And back then, Earl still had the track, and it was 28-degree banking in the turns. If you've never seen a dirt track with 28-degree banking, it is an incredible sight. Now it's down to 25.
Yeah.
But that banking at that track it's amazing. I mean, it is absolutely amazing to see those guys get around that track, which is nearly twice the size of ours in the same time.
Right.
It's impressive.
And you know what surprised me that night, and I talk about this often, is how far those late models are with their front nose valence off that inside wall at the end of the night when it starts slicking up and they're looking for traction. I don't think you could put a piece of paper between the valence and that wall all the way around the track. I don't think you could.
That's right.
It was crazy how close they were to that wall. And I was down there and you look at it, it's like you could reach out and almost hit the car. I mean, you were right there. It's like, oh my God. And just like you, it was in late October because it was a reschedule for the World 100. And they would come by and the temperature had dropped 10 degrees from the wind.
Oh, yeah.
Up the field. It was like, holy crap, that's crazy.
Yes, sir.
So, and that's why I said it was so exciting to get back to the track this year. And I've been at Stockton 99 for all their races this year. Haven't been a big asphalt fan. This is something new for me with streaming it and doing the stuff that we're doing with Tony. Jay Bryant, hey, from Texas at the moment. Yes, sir. Hey, Jay, how are you doing tonight? Jay is my partner with Speed Union TV, and he just went to Alabama and picked up a new toter home and is on his way home right now. So he's driving back from Alabama tonight. So cool to see him hop on here tonight. So he told me it's nice being at that motorhome. He can pull over in park somewhere, put the TV up. I'm sure he's watching it on a big screen TV in his motorhome. So the reason why I want to have this meeting, and I was kind of hoping maybe Peter would hop on here to talk about this. I'm sure everybody saw last week there was one of the tracks posted up a sign about live streaming at the racetrack, doing Facebook lives from the racetrack, and Bray Bryant, yes sir, there you go. I know what he's doing. In the track coming out and saying, don't do that anymore. They don't want live streams from the track. I have opinions, and I want to clarify. I have opinions. I don't have facts. I have opinions. So don't jump on me if you disagree with what I say, because it's an opinion. I think the Facebook live videos and the things like that, I think as a competitor, people seeing the racetrack, seeing what you're doing, it brings attention to what we're doing. I brought you on here because you've worked on the media side. You're promoting the racetrack. You're working for a track to build up their presence, their social media presence. Now you're a track owner. I know your opinion is probably different knowing that role. So what is your thoughts on this situation? And let's jump into this discussion here.
No, this is good discussion because, I started thinking about this after we acquired Willamette and being on the media side, exactly where you are, doing the streaming, doing the live streaming, the social media promotions, doing, even if you do the last 5 laps of a heat race or a feature, okay, there's benefits to that. And there are setbacks to that. I was in a conversation the other day, and as good as the streaming services are for racing, I want to make sure I word this so everybody understands where I'm coming from. As good as they are for racing, as far as promoting, let's just say dirt track racing, okay? Mm-hmm. There's another side to that as well, okay? And let me explain that. So let's just say, Bob's streaming service comes into your track and they stream it. Okay. People know that's going to happen. Okay. So they're going to sit home and they're going to pay $15 to $20 if they buy the single event. Right.
Right.
Okay. Which is great exposure for your racetrack around the country for the people in, if we're here in Oregon, the people in Texas and Illinois and Florida and all across the country are watching. That's great. great exposure for your racetrack. The other side to that is it's got potential to keep people out of your seats. Okay, so you've got the streaming that's making a little bit of money, but you're losing possibly, I'm not saying you are, possibly have the potential of losing fans in your seats. What do racetracks need to survive? They've got to have butts in the seats. Why? Because not only are they getting the $15 ticket to get in, which let's just say they pay $15 to get in at on the streaming service, but you're going to miss out on those beer sales and the burgers and the T-shirts and whatever else you might be selling to generate revenue for your racetrack to keep it open. And I had the person I was talking to kind of looked at me like, okay, I kind of see what you're saying. So I compared it to this. When the internet first came out in the early 90s, it was a phenomenal thing. Everybody started falling in love with the internet and all the information that was out there. If you look at what the internet did to music, I think streaming has the same potential to do to racetracks. And by that, I mean, go to your mall, walk down to your local mall and see if you can find a music store in there. You're not going to find a music store anywhere hardly ever anymore because of the internet. You can go online and get any song you want from any artist and you can get it for free. So now when you go watch that artist, okay, what happens? Now you're paying $80 plus for a general admission ticket. So the cost goes up to get in and people don't want to go. Now you're getting national exposure, which means you know, that's great. People around the country are seeing you, but it's got that potential to take away from your local fan base if they know they can, if they can sit at home and watch that race in the comfort of their home. And that's not good for tracks right there. So the promotional side of it, like I said, it's a bittersweet deal. That's the sweet side. You get the promotion, but you got that potential to lose your hometown base.
Okay. Well, Michael Hill, I got to give you a big shout out in the B430 car. Yeah, I was just mentioning your name. I did some voiceover work for a Fox show today, and I was talking about you on that show. So I just had to give a big shout out to that because there's another one that's down there at Stockton. So let's go back, and I'm going to tell you, I started when Facebook Live first started. I harassed my wife for 3 months because they put it on her Facebook. I didn't have it for 3 months. I wanted it so bad so I could run my mouth just because I like to talk. And everybody that knows me knows I like to talk, and that's fine. I finally got it. We rolled into Wairika one weekend. I wasn't racing. We rolled in there, and Jerry Bartlett was doing Facebook Live videos already, and I couldn't wait to get it just so I could go in there and talk trash to Jerry Bartlett. That was it. Nothing more other than to talk trash to Jerry Bartlett. So we rolled into Wairika. I did like a little stupid video. Hey, we're cruising through the pits. Here's some of the cars, blah, blah, blah. So I got in the stands in the pits. I said, well, I'm going to go live for the Pro Stock main event. Blah, 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 talked about it and all this stuff. I come down with my car the next weekend. Everybody wanted to know, are you going live? Well, no, I'm racing. People were pissed I wasn't going live because I was racing my car. So I got my friend Lacey, who is hearing impaired, and she sat there all night with the phone in her hand recording everything because I couldn't communicate with her well enough to say, you only have to do the Pro Stock. So she did the whole thing. Well, then everybody else got on there the next week. Well, we want to see this. We want to do this stuff. Hey, Davey, thank you for joining in. So Scott Lentz, if you know Dr. Scott Lentz, he pointed out to where this was. He said, you started where you're at 5 years ago by doing that. You just didn't know it. I didn't know what I set out to do. It was a goof more than anything. It built up to it. COVID hit. We had a race at Stockton at the dirt track after we kind of got everything going. I went live there, and I'm used to 15, 20 people looking to see what we're doing. Okay, that's fine. So I'm standing there with Scott Flowers, his wife. She was doing live on her Facebook. I was doing live. I looked down, there was 480 people on my stream. I got stage fright at that point. I couldn't talk. I was like, I'm not comfortable with this at this moment. So it's like, okay, expect that. By the end of the night, that video, I had over 10,000 views on it before that night was over.
Now imagine if that track owner got paid for all 10,000 of those views.
I agree. That's
great exposure for that racetrack, great exposure for the series, which, I mean, there's no argument to that. It's fantastic. But you got to look at the business side of it. And like I said, it's a bittersweet deal. There's two sides to that coin.
all right.
I'm all for media. You know this. I mean, as a guy in media, I'm all for it.
So Lyle Hopper, I had to go check his name and all this stuff, says, so what streaming race has done is go back to what it did before TV. To bring fans in, you have to make rack race event to bring in fans and their dollars. Thoughts? Yes, we have to figure out how to bring in. So here's where I'm gonna draw my line on all this stuff. As track promoters, as series promoters, all this stuff, we are always looking for sponsorship. Not an easy thing to do. Finding a good sponsor, a solid sponsor, everybody thinks it's easy. It's not. It's a lot of meetings. It's a lot of being uncomfortable, not always knowing the right answer. All of this, I've learned this in the last year. So we watch Kenny Wallace talk about it and everything else. Your national exposure is a chance for you to bring in a national sponsor.
Potentially. Doesn't mean you're going to, but there's that possibility.
Yes. And Lyle says, make every race an event. Okay. That is why I wanted Peter Murphy on here, because Peter Murphy talked with me at great length about what Lyle just said. He said, I'm bringing what I learned in New Zealand to Hanford. He's going to bring this to Skagit. When a race comes in, it's about kind of like a WWE style thing like that. It's a huge event. It's not just a race. It's an event.
That
was
go ahead.
Started that here. And that's what he's doing. If you watch his victory lane ceremonies, he's got a big old flashy crowd on the guy that wins head, and they soak him in champagne, literally right in the center of the grandstands. It's a huge production that the fans are involved, all that. We saw with Bristol this year, you didn't see high attendance at the racetrack, but you saw huge numbers on the media side of it. And Nina just said, media runs the world. You just have to have the best shot or view. I sort of agree with that. We're trying with all kinds of stuff. I have no experience with cameras, so we're learning everything. And so now we've got the discussion started, Cory. Now we got it. It's involvement now. We got involvement. So that's
so going back to what you said, making every race an event, that is easy to do when you're working with a traveling series going from track to track to track. At a track running weekly events with, let's say you've got 8 classes and you schedule 5 and you rotate those 5 throughout the, that's a lot harder to do because you can't make every race this big, huge, spectacular event when it's not a traveling series like World of Outlaws or the NARC or the Tri-State or whatever the case may be. When the fans are looking at the same drivers running for track championship points, not every race can be a huge event. Do you have your big events of the year? Absolutely. And those are your money makers, but that's a lot easier to do with the traveling series, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, so you got Stephen Blakesley. I think streams might impact the amount of locals who attend, but exposes you to regional fans. When USAC came to Merced last year, the place was packed on a Wednesday night. I think the streaming helped expose that series to new people. I don't disagree with that statement. You getting people that are coming to the track when a USAC comes to town. And I see where Cory's
again, a traveling event.
Now, what do you do for your weekly IMCA sport compacts and your IMCA hobby stocks? How do you bring those people? Sandra, you made a good point. Black out a certain mile radius. Vimeo, we are with Vimeo. That is the streaming platform we're using.
Best foundation you can use.
So they bought 3 companies. I'm not sure what the 3 companies are, but they're not all 3 matched up equally. So our plan doesn't give us the option to block out a certain mile radius. The plan under us, you can do that, but not the plan we're at, because it was a part of this service that they bought out over here. But they are working at integrating that. That is something that Tony at Stockton has brought up with us. That's something that's on the horizon with Vimeo.
We've actually talked about that ourselves, Roy, which, I mean, truly is not a bad idea for your local circle, your local area. They want to see the races, come to the races. And I get there's people that might have to work a graveyard shift or might be sitting at home at sick that want to see those races. But if you black those out in that radius, it's going to, I mean, you've got one choice to see the races. You go to the racetrack, right?
Right. So, all right. So here we go. Jerry Mijo Quintana. Most people who go Facebook Live are focused on their driver, not the whole field. So you don't get the whole story. So let's go down to, I'm sure it's Britt Kuehl. If I'm wrong, it's one of the Kuehl family. Do fun and different things for the fans. Think outside the box is the key. I don't have to cost the track money. You contact the drivers that want to have fun and promote their sponsors. Your wife said black out that. Dustin, look at Placerville. Dustin, can you share a little bit more with that so we know what your thoughts are on that? And I'm not being mean. I don't know which side you're coming down on that, so we want to do this. Ed Waldrop, I agree, streaming Facebook Live for your friends in other areas, but you have the potential, as Cory says, has the possibility of local friends just staying at home and losing possible revenue. Ryan Nelson, streaming can help pull exposures for other drivers outside your normal realm, but the downfall is streaming not going to pull a weekly fan for a weekly IMCA Sport Mod race. TJ Beecham, keeping the fans smiling with a goofy flagger, a dancing photographer, and involving fans. It works. Pete Bout, I helped to promote the racecast Saturday night. I stopped live feeds prior to qualifying for local attendance purposes. Sandy, you also cannot replace the smell and sound of race cars and fuel. Willamette specifically has a ban. I have said that all along. You cannot put the smell. We don't have the smell feature in the computer yet. So,
oh yeah, the sound and the smell and you feel the grandstand shake. I mean, you can't replace that, but people will stay home. And here's the bad part. Now you sell one pay-per-view. Okay, let's just say you do. Let's say you sell one pay-per-view, and there's 15 people there watching it.
Yep.
So you made $15 in that pay-per-view. But what about all those others that stayed over there to that party to watch the races there with their buddies? That's a lot of lost revenue for the local racetrack. See, I mean, and I'm all for media, you guys. You understand this. I wouldn't have a media company if I wasn't for media. There are so many great ways to promote racing. And, I had to talk with some fans and say, hey, listen, if you guys want to do this, I don't mind going live. I don't. Go live for a heat race, one heat race per division. Don't do the features.
Right.
I think the best promotion we've ever done for any racetrack. Okay, you can create the events and you can invite 600 people, and everybody knows about it, and that's great. The best thing, and I'm telling you, this absolutely works when you want to use social media to your advantage for your racetrack, is prior to the start of your races, when all the drivers are back there and they're all unloaded and they're getting ready to qualify, they're working on their cars, and you see all the hectic stuff, you get somebody on a quad and you go Facebook Live or whatever avenue you want to use, and you go through and you talk about, hey, we've got so-and-so, a 5-time champion here. Here's a 3-time modified champion. Here's a 2-time super sport champion. This guy's won 4 races in a row. He's here tonight. And you do that. And you do that a couple hours prior to, or an hour and a half prior to qualifying starting, you're going to get more people in your stands. I've proven that time and time again. People get excited when they know their favorite driver is there, that they come in. That is, honestly, I think that's the best thing we've ever done with social media, is to go live in the pit area all the way through and show every single car with your phone. Just scan it and talk about who's there. Talk about, the drivers that have won championships, the drivers that are on a winning streak, the drivers that are, from out of town. We've got so-and-so from Missouri here tonight. I mean, that draws people to your grandstands. That, I think, is the best thing you can do when it comes to a live promotion on, whatever social media that you're using. That works.
So, and I agree with it. And Dustin Bloomfield said they promote the hell out of their race weekends. They have a band, they have happy hour, they haul that. That's something that Peter Murphy started. That's something that I'm looking at trying to do uh, with what we're doing, things like that. These are all great ideas, people. And
Well, we all promote the heck out of our tracks. I mean, that's what we have to do to get the people there. Something we're doing. We are heavy on radio this year. And I'm telling you right now, that has been huge. We're also going to see us heavy on TV here in the region from, say Salem to Eugene. We're going to be, that's a 80-mile radius, up and down I-5 that we're going to hit hard through, our cable providers, and that's going to be big because fans get to see, maybe it might be fans that didn't even know the track was there. They get to see the cars racing, they get to see the crowd cheering. I want to be a part of that. TV works because they see the colors, they hear the engines, they see the crowd roaring. It creates some curiosity. They want to go see it. We're going to be heavy on TV here shortly.
Yeah. Well, and these are things that we're doing in let me scroll through here because somebody said this. Brent Kuehl, old school way of thinking continues to drag down racing. Yes and no. I'm going to defend
I'll disagree with that 100%.
Yeah. So going back, everybody wants to go back to the old school, but they don't want to go back to the old school. And the forward progression of NASCAR has hurt them in the long run. Catering to certain things has not been, but we're going to go.
That's destroyed NASCAR.
Right. You can't change. But now I'm going to say something. When you have a promoter that walks around with a flip phone that won't even get email, not good for the sport in this day and age. That's everybody is in the here and now. They want the information. They want it quickly. You have to adapt to it. I'm 51 years old. My wife picks on me relentlessly because I cannot do basic functions on a computer. When I say basic functions, I can't find a file after I save it on the computer. It's infuriating. It frustrates me. Stephen Blakesley can chime in. He knows this. He's trying to help me with this. But we're running multi-camera stuff. We just bought in a new wireless camera that we can set up 400 feet away from what we're doing to get different angles. I started announcing races. I didn't know what I was doing when we started this. I'm learning to do all this stuff. I'm set up in my house right now. If you could see, I got my mixing board, a computer, I got a camera set up over here. I'm communicating with Cory 4 hours away from me, just like we're on the phone for all of y'all to look. There is new technology that's helping bring the sport to a new level. Now, streaming, I'm going to defend it because I've started doing it. It's working. But there's a difference between streaming companies. And this is where I'm going to get into this. And I've talked with Jay, and I'm going to be careful what I say here because he's listening. And we talked about this. The problem I've seen since we started this is we have one successful show and we get a huge amount of negative feedback from other services.
Sure.
Okay, I get it that they think that everybody wants exclusivity in the streaming industry. That's what's hurting the streaming industry more than anything, is the streaming industry worrying about the streaming industry and not the racers. I don't want to be negative, whatever. Everybody likes going to the races that streams and likes being at the races. They don't want competition. They don't want somebody to come along and say, I'm not saying I'm doing something better. I'm not saying my stuff's better. I'm saying streamers in the streaming services need to help promote the racetrack they're going to. You've seen me post up all week. We're going to be at Cory's track Saturday night. We're going to be at Wairika Friday night. We're covering those races. I'm also doing the streaming for Bruce Rayburn's Celebration of Life this weekend for people that know Bruce and know what he is to the sport. So people that don't want to or can't drive 5 hours to Medford or whatever can see how they're paying tribute to the guy. I asked for nothing in return for doing that service because I don't feel you shouldn't go in there and try to profit off that situation. Other people would want to get paid for doing that. I don't think that that's right. I don't think that's the way that you do business. We should all be helping to build the sport. Racers, fans, streaming services, promoters. If we're not all working together to build the sport will fail. That's just my opinion. I don't know if that's the right opinion, but that's my opinion.
I agree with 90% of that. I mean, I'm not against streaming services. It's got to be done right. And again, going back, you got to look at the financial. I mean, for any racetrack owner / promoter, the financial side of that comes in because you make one sale. Okay. And this is typically how the streaming industry works. Typically, the track will get 70% of that sale. Okay. So if Bob buys a pay-per-view, from your track, and the track gets 70% of that $15, but Bob's got a party going on, there's 15, 20 people watching. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That does not benefit the racetrack in any way, shape, or form, other than the possible potential outside of your region and the exposure.
Right. And that's why I said it's tough. Streaming. I
hear both sides. I'm in both sides. It's tough. It is bittersweet. It's tough. It's hard, and just figuring out the right way to do it. So with us using TV, and radio, radio's been huge already. I mean, last Saturday night, our crowd was, again, temperatures weren't exactly friendly, but our crowd was huge. It's the biggest crowd that the track's seen in a long time, and a lot of that goes back to, the working the local radio waves. And then I'm curious to see what happens when we get on TV. Yep. Just straight up TV commercials, not TV broadcasts. This is the TV commercial to promote your racetrack. A lot of tracks don't do that anymore. Well, they've gotten away from it. But you got to remember how many people are sitting in front of their TVs at night. Take advantage of that.
Well, and that's what Tony, you're talking about TV. Tony at Stockton has started between his two tracks. There's a couple of shows that will air on Saturday mornings. The others air on Sunday mornings. It's called Racing with Lavoti. It's a TV show that airs in Sacramento on Fox 40. It's going out to all of that market saying, hey, we still got racing down here, in case you didn't know. He's got us doing the shows. And I've had to adapt and learn stuff right off the bat. I didn't know how to put closed captioning into stuff. We had to learn. It's been a challenge, but we're doing it. And now you've got guys that are watching what I'm doing on here that come on here and said, thank you for being there at the track. We're helping to do that. And I don't know how you can help to do that in your market. I know it's spendy to buy that paid programming segment on a Fox television station. But
well, that's not cheap at all. But that I'm sure is going to pay for Tony huge dividends.
Yeah,
that's a half-hour promotion. That's a 30-minute promotion. Yes. One thing that we do too before the season starts is we put on a local car show. We get all the guys that have their cars done, bring their cars down to the mall. That's about 15 miles from the track. We stack in this year. We stacked in 26 race cars we put inside the mall. And we do a huge event with the Shriners, and we get all these prizes donated, and we do a raffle for the Shriners to help raise funds for them. But we promote the racetrack. Our schedules are out. The series that are coming have flyers there. We have for the IHS sprints, we had their schedule on display. For the NARC deal, we had cards going out displaying that event. We had our schedule out. I mean, just all that type of stuff. And you get people. You're not marketing. You're not marketing or trying to promote to the people that already know you're there. If you just market to the people that already know you're there, your racetrack is going to fail. You've always got to try to market to the people that don't know where you are or get them excited. You got to create new customers because that's what they are. I mean, they're fans, but they're customers when they come through your gate. Get out in the local community and put on a big car show. I'll tell you right now, every weekend we do that. We do it every year. I'll answer the same question 300 times. Where do these cars race at? Willamette Speedway. Where's that? It's in Lebanon, 15 miles away. There's a racetrack there. And you'll see those people come out to the track. You'll see them sitting in your stands. That's who you have to market to. The people that know you're already there. If that's where you're putting your marketing dollars, you're wasting your money.
We got. It may only be sound, but we have somebody joining us. Hang on, guys. There is the man right there. We don't have him on video, but we'll have his voice, and you will love his voice. It's just as entertaining. Welcome, Peter Murphy. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good, mate. Good. How are you doing?
Oh, we are just sitting on here talking about what track promoters can do, what streaming services can do, what we can do to help build up the sport of racing. And I wanted you on here because you have a little bit different opinion because of your background in New Zealand and what you're bringing to the United States.
Yep. I apologize for the noise in the background here. We're working on the track up here at Skagit right now, so got a little bit of shit going on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, if you haven't seen his pictures of Skagit, they've torn out all the grandstands. I think they've torn down all the bathrooms, everything, and rebuilding the whole facility, if I'm not wrong.
Incredible amount of work they're doing up there.
It's pretty close to that, but we didn't tear it all down there, that's for sure.
Yeah. So Peter, tell us at Hanford what you've rolled out and what you think is important this year and what you're doing to attract people to your track.
Oh gosh, I don't know. Just trying to do things a little bit different. I don't think we can be. We can't do what we've done forever. You know, times change constantly. You know, especially with this social media and everything else. You've got to keep up, otherwise you're going to get left behind. If that makes sense. You know, younger kids these days, and everything's instantaneous, and so we've got to put on a better show. We've got to do a better job entertaining the people that we get there. You know, so you know, you can roll off that however you want to go, or you just ask a question, mate, and I'll answer it as best I can.
Yeah. Well, and we were talking about, and we've actually have a very engaged group of fans on the page tonight. I can't keep up with all the comments, so I'm just letting you know this ahead of time.
Yep.
I can't keep up with all of them. You've started something, Peter's Pub in the Pits.
Yes, Peter. Well, you know, it's it is in the pits. It's where we have the drivers meeting. It's where you get your pill. It's where you get there's so many things you do right there. It's where you get your transponder if you need one. It's where you get your pay at the end of the night, if you know, for different things. You know, and obviously we got a hot dog vending guy in there, and we got popcorn in there, we got donuts in there, and we thought, you know, why not have happy hour and have beer in there as well? And it just so the fans can get in there. Now we do have it fenced off to where they can't go any further than where there is, but I'm telling you, there's trucks and trailers on every side of it, so they're a lot further in than they've ever been before, and 9 times out of 10 that we've done it, they actually get to be around when the driver's meet's on, which is something else most drivers and crews take for granted. But you know, fans don't get to see what goes on, and you know, basically see who can be a dickhead at the driver's meeting and who isn't, and you know, it's just another thing that, again, we're entertaining. So we have happy hour in the pits, but you know, when it's done, then you know, we ask them all to leave, and then it goes back to normal. You know, so it's just something different. That's all it is. It's just I think we need to do different things all the time. So that was just the first thing, and it's been quite popular so far. So you know, who knows what we can come up with next, but we'll come up with something.
Well, and I noted, I was telling Cory, the way you do your top 3 drivers at the end of a race, where you pull them up there and put their big flashing crown on their head like they do for the Royal and soak them in champagne.
Yeah.
It's just something silly and funny, but it's cool.
Yeah, well, obviously that's just a playing on words, because, you know, it's King's Fairgrounds and all that kind of stuff, and why not have a King's crown to put on their head? So it's just simple things, you know. But again, it is a little bit different, and the main show of the night, we do give them champagne, and we have the podium in front of the people, and you know, if you're right there, you're going to get covered in champagne, and you know, and it's just, you know, you might get pulled over by the police on the way, and they think you've been drinking. You say, no, I've just been to the bloody races, mate. It's all good.
So when I talked with you about all this before, Peter, you told me about in New Zealand, that when you have a race, say over there, that it's not just a race, it's a show, it's a spectacle. And that's
yes, everything is a show over there. Everything's a show in Australia as well. Like down there, it's just a little bit different than what it is here. I'm not saying it's. Well, actually, I'm saying it is better. It's more entertaining. There's a lot of time constraints what you can do and can't do over there. So they make things, just happen a lot quicker. And majority of the times it does work out very well. And they get super crowds over there. Like in New Zealand, they get, the last race I went to over there, I think there was like 13,000 people there. And that's only, 20 minutes from the center of Auckland. So it's, quite the spectacle, but they just do things different. And over there, it's everything's, you pay to get in, and you're in the pits and you're in the stands. And, there's another thing we do at my place is you do not drive through pits. If it's sprint cars or midgets or whatever, there's a stop sign and they've got to stop. And you can't drive through the pits because we have kids in the pits and we have elderly people. We have people on their phones, looking at their phones, not paying attention. So we've got to look after everybody as best we can. So sprint cars and, anything that's a push-starter vehicle can't drive through. They've got to stop. And then if you're, a sedan or a late model or a modified, there's a stop sign. You got to stop. You got to put it in first gear and then you chug the rest of the way through. So, just trying to look after everybody because it is a family sport.
So Chaz, our friend Chaz chimed in now that he's in here, and I think he's got a point. The difference is in New Zealand, is the sport doesn't live in the NASCAR shadow. The top circle track motorsports and down there is dirt. Is that?
Yeah, but no, super touring cars and things like that over there, they're all big. You're competing with a lot of different things too, but it's just done differently down there. Maybe what he's saying is somewhat true. Like in New Zealand, though, they televise the races. Like, if I raced on Saturday, you'll watch it on TV on Tuesday night at 6 o'clock, not on pay-per-view, not on something. It's on TV. It's an hour-long show. It's, quick, straight to the point. You get everything, what you need to see. And it's, again, it's just promoting, basically. And then they get more people involved. And, the whole idea is making people want to be there.
So I talked to one of your friends from down there in Australia on there. I had him on the show recently. So I have to ask you, have you had a run-in with a brown snake at the racetrack in Australia? I didn't know that was a thing.
Hell no. I haven't had a problem with a snake. Flies, maybe, not a snake.
The big-ass spiders they got. He said he found one in his welding helmet when he put it down. Oh, my God, we'd have to burn the shop down if that was me. I'm just saying that right now.
No, they got some things that want to kill you over there. Not very happy with you, but Oh,
I'm a big wuss. I would make it over there.
It's whatever you grow up with, though, isn't it? So
So now I know you have a different opinion because I've talked with you and worked with you, and you asked us to do the show when we were down there for the Pro Stocks, which we got winded out, which I'm bummed about.
Yep.
So what are your thoughts about all of the bickering and squabbling with all the streaming services, and what is your thoughts on how to fix all of that part of it? Because I know that's a bad situation with you.
Yeah, I don't know. What? Just so I'm up to speed here. What is the problem at the moment with everybody? Basically,
everybody wants exclusivity. You can only stream this.
Yeah.
And we're the big dog.
You would be a fool as a racetrack owner to give exclusivity to one streaming service. You're shooting yourself in the foot. And if they don't understand that, then that just shows that they're in to line their own pockets. And they don't care about the racetrack.
Yeah, I think it's true with a lot of different things that we do. People are only looking after themselves. Again, I think it comes back to me not doing a good enough job for making you want to be there. If we do the Pete's Pub in the pits and we have you guys there doing the thing, showing people, we're doing interviews with drivers, we're doing interviews with crew chief, we're doing interviews with fans or officials. It doesn't matter. We're doing interviews, people having a drink and having a hot dog, having some donuts. They're there, and that's the whole thing. Is trying to make people want to be there for whatever reason. So, you got to have the live streaming thing, I think, anymore, just to keep up with the rest of the world. Like what we started when we started. everything's instantaneous anymore, and you've got to have the abilities to, it seems like. But I think it comes back to me being a promoter. I've got to do a better job at making people want to be there. So if you do what you whether it's Facebook Live or your podcast or whatever it is, it's just another version of something that's going on that people aren't aware of what's going on. We've got to do things differently, and what you do is different. So we've got to bring that in, and just so people can be a part of that as well. That makes sense.
I agree with you, Peter. I think every track should have something they do different, and you got to find that. Like at Willamette Speedway, I went back to, this old school format that was used by the founder for 45 years. The fans loved. If it's not an IMCA sanctioned class, so with our late models, our super sports, street stocks, and sportsman cars, the whole program is based off qualifying. The faster you qualify, the farther back you start. There were some guys that were saying, "Oh, that's outdated. You shouldn't do that." Opening night, all 4 winners from every division. The winner came from the back of the pack.
He dropped off. He must have lost service. So, but no, Peter Murphy is one of the great promoters I've met out here.
Fantastic promoter.
Yes, and you've talked about it on here, and we're going to delve off into an area real quick where we agree on this. There is a difference between a track owner and a track promoter.
There absolutely is.
Peter is a track promoter. He did
no
something.
Doubt.
He took over Skagit. Look at their schedule. Look at the payout at Skagit Speedway his first year there at some of the big races.
Look at the Super Dirt Cup.
That's what I'm saying.
50,000 to win. That's impressive.
And, I'm not going to get into bashing track promoters. That's not what I'm doing. But as a track promoter, you have to find out what you're going to do. What we do with the Tri-State is we focus on, and this is what every person that has a series, has a track, needs to focus on. You need a 20-car field. That's a good field in whatever class. How are you going to get that 20-car field? Okay, first place is going to get paid first place money, whatever it is. That car is important. Having a winner is important. But having number 20 is just as important as number 1. And I don't care what anybody says.
No, you'd be a fool to disagree with that. As a kid growing up in dirt track racing, the big thing was the big shows. The 100 lappers that paid $5,000 to win or $2,500 to win. It was all about the money to win that drew all the big names on the West Coast to the tracks. Now, if you're not paying deeper into the field or paying decent start money, you're not going to have a 20-car field. That's the simple math of today in dirt track racing. They want to know, and it blows my mind because when, again, I'm not knocking anybody, but this happens a lot. You'll have top 5 drivers say, "What's it pay to start?" Yeah. What's 20th pay? Are you racing for 20th or are you racing for the win? I mean, it's a funny question to me when it's a guy that's going to contend for the win and they want to know what it pays to start because they're not going to finish. I mean, unless barring something drastic, they're not going to finish in the bottom half of the pack. But you're absolutely right. Start money is everything anymore.
Yeah. Well, so where I'm going to go now that Peter stepped away, I'm going to go back and read through some of these because this is getting... Dude, this is the most comments I've had, so it's going to take a minute to read through these. So we're going to go backwards. Hello, Warren Laren. He says, hello, all. So now you got Melody Steven. What about those of us moved out of state and still want to watch the race? Absolutely what streaming services can do. I get people from all over that want to watch what we're doing because they supported another track. Absolutely. Brent Kuehl.
That goes to your blackout area. We talked about that. Someone out of state, that's a whole different deal than taking away from your local fans and your grandstands. See, that's 2 different worlds right there.
Yeah. You get big numbers by promoting the track with the rights people and sponsors come. I don't necessarily disagree with that either. So
I don't disagree with it.
So let's go back through because, like I said, we got so many to go through here. I hope I can do them justice. I like to acknowledge everybody that's getting in here. So Michael Hollingworth, I'd like to see the fans stay a little longer to see the trophy presentation and see the cars on the front stretch, not golf carts.
That would be great.
Jessica rolling. I can't pronounce Becker, I think. Amen. I love the pit walks. Ron Brewster. They're talking about bringing in your most popular drivers or bring in their most hated drivers. There you go. Anyway, that's not a
that
bad.
brings in the fans too.
Yes, that's it.
Every driver's got a fan, and you have to treat them that way.
Yeah. How's that Shriner's car coming along? That's from Nicholas Ford. David Munoz. Yes, a lot of info on the drivers' race. Fans love to hear all that. Yes, I agree with that. Pete Bound, drivers driving other asses. I'm not sure. We got lost in the translation there. Brent Kuehl, we go live in Florida at 3 Ford tracks, and the 4th track we don't attend, promote, or even talk about. They said no recording their races. Ed, a.k.a. the pit cruise we did in 2018 at Willamette. Brent Endicott, I'm not a fan of the streaming stuff. I've had the pleasure of being at a race that Cory announces, and he works the crowd, talks to the drivers, and if you don't go to the track, you're not a race fan.
That's a two-way street.
Yeah, that's a lot of logic. Pete Bow, he declared it. Drivers driving other classes. He clarified, so he missed 2 letters. Sandy, Evelyn herself would go on our pit cruise with us. So if one don't record the race live and right after it's over, they post it, what's the difference? Ryan Nesson, SOS used to promote heavily and thousands would. Sky Story, that's not true. There's a lot of race fans that are not capable to attend a track due to different circumstances, so streaming services are great for those that can't attend.
That's not the argument. That's not the argument. I mean, it is great for the people who can't attend. Nobody's contested that. We're talking about the business side of racing and what benefits the racetracks. Yeah. If streaming services come in and do to racetracks what the internet did to music, you guys aren't going to have racetracks to go sit in the grandstands or have racetracks to race at because there won't be any. See, that's the whole point of this is getting people to the racetrack to support the racetrack. Streaming service doesn't do that all the time. A track gets 70% of each ticket sold. Where at the track, they get 100%. Then they get the beer sales. They get the hamburger and hot dog sales, the T-shirt sales, the candy sales, all the stuff that comes with it, the pit passes. That's how racetrack survives. If streaming comes in, and again, I'm for streaming if it's done in the right way. But if streaming services come in and do all that, and I know I can sit in the comfort of my home, watch on a 70-inch TV, drink my own beer, and eat my own burgers, that racetrack's not going to be around very long. Yep. That's the other side of that argument. It is a great thing for people out of state that want to watch, if you're in Missouri and want to watch a race in California or Oregon or anywhere. It is a great thing for that person. But that's not always the best thing for the racetrack. You see what I'm saying?
Yep. So, and Pete Bound says, all y'all thanks you, Roy. I'm not sure. I know that might be some sarcasm. I don't know. Maybe it's a good thing. I can't decipher. A little late in this, Brent Kuehl, true story in Florida. A track called DeSoto Speedway had a sign that said no live videos or you get banned. The track was run old school motorsports and bankrupt and sold to Cletus McFarland. End of story. Okay, you got a point. We're not going to say any more on that. If you want to find out about Cletus McFarland, I'm not going to promote him. You can go find him on Facebook. It's very entertaining.
YouTube. Huge name on YouTube.
Yes.
Like I said, if it's done right, streaming is not a bad thing. If it's done every single week and keeping people away from your racetrack, it's a very bad thing.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Racing is strong in Florida. Tracks that don't allow streams are dead. Nina Nobina, it's all in how you respond to the negativity. Kill it with aloha. People follow the energy. Okay. There you go. That aloha.
There's nothing like the experience of sitting in the stands and watching a field of 20 cars come racing past you with dust in the air, dirt in your beer, the smell of fuel, the stand shaking, and the crowd cheering. That's the experience. People that want to watch a race out of state, like I said, that's a great thing for them. That doesn't mean that's the best thing for the racetrack.
So, Brett, I'm going to answer this question for Cory. He says, Cory, did any drivers go into the stands and hand out hero cards and merchandise swag for the fans and kids? Absolutely. Don't need to say
we had that happen. Yes.
If not, find a driver that is promoting themselves and loves helping the community. I agree. Brett, that happens at Willamette. We will blow up. Support your local track. It's a great experience if you haven't been to a racetrack. Cory sponsored a huge car show at the mall. We already talked about that. Good work, Cory, from Brent. I have seen 2 commercials for Bakersfield Speedway. That's for the Butt Nationals and when the World of Outlaw guys came. Keep doing it.
Bakersfield has an incredible team to promote that racetrack, and they do a lot of it with their commercials that they use online. They've got a great marketing team there. Schweitzer family and those guys, they do a great job.
Yep. And then Chaz said views about to go up, did some quick marketing strategies. Pete Bound said, tell it like it is. That's for Peter Murphy. That's right. It's a show. Old school motorsports. Then you got Pete Bound. Ain't nothing better than promoting a racetrack, actually talking to folks. I agree. Chaz Thompson, Peter Murphy needs to come down and do a few songs and some promotional stuff. LOL. Sky Story, interviews from inside the car under caution. You know what? I am working on that technology, Sky. I wish I could figure it out.
We've done it. It's easy to do, and fans love it.
Yeah. Justin Austin, I like that format, talking about the way you've done it. What about those of us that have moved? We already covered that. Pete Bound, fuel and tire costs. That's why pay to start matters. Amen, Pete. That absolutely. Chaz Thompson, promoting the stream to the country world and promoting in the stand attendance to local communities is a way to make it work. If you don't have a crowd, work on promoting and developing something worth attending. Construct solutions instead of blaming other streaming services. Your stands only had a couple thousand, and there are probably 100,000 people within a 50-mile radius. STFU and go to work. Putting on a race doesn't get people to attend. Promoting the race. You know what? And that's Chaz. This is why I brought Peter Murphy on here. This is why I asked you to come on here. We are all working to make that happen. There's a lot of promoters that are out here happening. We're not saying that promoters are not doing the job. I guess the whole sum and substance was, what do you do with the streaming? Because that's become a mainstay. And I think we all have agreed with that. COVID made streaming a mainstay, whether anybody likes it or not. And
there's a lot of truth in that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of truth in that. And here's the thing with streaming. Let's say I know I've got a big race coming up. Okay. And we do. And we stream that event because we know our stands are going to be full.
Yeah.
Great. That's the way you do it the right way. But doing it every single week, that's not going to help your racetrack.
Yeah. Tiffany Haley starting to pop up a bit in Australia. I think that she's talking about the streaming services. Yeah, they're starting to pop up everywhere. They're going around. Like I said, myself and Jay started a streaming service this year. We're doing it. We're 5 into the year, and it's just getting busier and busier. I mean, it is. Ed says, good show, guys. Hope to see you Saturday, Roy. Got to run. See you Saturday, Ed. Nina, the world has been shut down long enough. Everyone is tired of sitting in their home. Amen, Nina. That's why I do a weekly show telling people where we're going to be at. Maybe we can help bring people to a track with us when we come. My boss said he's coming down and putting it out to all the drivers in Millersburg that we're going to be there. We're hoping to do something for your track. They're right up the road. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but we're trying. Devin Peterson, I've had more of my Facebook streams bring friends and families to the track than not. It's something they've never seen, so they want to go watch, so it brings in people. Brett, there is no loss from streaming live for fans to attend. You gain fans, you will come and attend. Nate Elderston, bingo. Great show. Love the discussion and good work, Cory. Kim, SKES. I'm saying skis.
Scheduling.
I don't know. Okay. Cory and his wife are amazing. The car show at the mall was a blast. Our son races sport compact at Willamette Speedway, and he got to have his car at the show. It was first time our son has ever got to do anything like that. Chaz, maybe weekly racing is dead and special events are the only way to go. That's a tough one. Nate
racetrack is, I mean, not every racetrack in the United States is like Eldora and can host a special event 2-3 times a month and be successful. I mean, Special events are great, but you can't live on them.
Yeah, and then Nate Ellerston joined in. We've already talked about this. How about a 60-mile radius lockout for streaming? That technology is coming. We don't have it available to us currently. So that is something that I and Cory have already talked about previously. So we've been on here a little bit over an hour already. So we will end this. We've had a great discussion, clearly.
This could be a 6-hour discussion. And here's the thing with promoting. Everybody does it a little bit different. Is there a right way? Is there a wrong way? You do what you think is best for your racetrack. Some racetracks do it really, really well. Some don't. It's not just about streaming. It's the experience, the show that you give the fans. Like with Willamette, we're so unique with the fast guys in the back. The fans get to see the fast guys drive through the field, put on a show doing it. And when they get up there and win, they go absolutely crazy when that checkered flag flies and their favorite driver, or, say you're the first time ever at the track and you come to Willamette and you see one of the young stars or one of the, the legends start at the back of the field and run to the front against a strong field of whatever class it is, and they win, they're coming back to see that show again. It's just unique. You got to find something for your racetrack that kind of sets you apart, and don't do what everybody else does. The start money, like you said, is a big thing to get the drivers there. The more drivers you have, the more people you're going to have. You've got to find that balance of what's best. Every promoter is going to have a different opinion.
So I'm going to tell Chaz, apparently you got a STFU on this one, because as soon as I read yours, this blew up. Hell no, I live for weekly racing at Willamette. How about the tracks offer a paid stream? Not everyone lives close. Shake my head. Everyone would just rely on live stream if you did it that way. So it's way more exciting to be in person at any given racetrack. Okay, we'll follow the rules. No streaming live. We'll post it 5 minutes after the race. Michael Weicker, why can't local tracks promote together? Jessica Becker Rolling, I feel like the W means more if you work your way from the back. So I'm not. If you come to race at Cory's track, you know how they do the show. You know what you're going to do. It's as simple as that. Now, on a positive note, everybody go to speeduniontv.com. Purchase Saturday night at Willamette Speedway for $19.99. We're streaming our first time at Willamette Speedway. That is, if you cannot attend it in person, see what we're doing at speeduniontv.com. Friday night, we're streaming at Siskiyou Golden Speedway. We're going to be having the first race of the Nicky Bean series at JT or John Trenchard and them started for that series down there. You can see all of that stuff. Please come check us out on Speed Union TV. We're getting together, all that stuff. We are on all your major platforms. You can watch it on Roku. You can watch it on Apple TV. You can watch it on, what are all the rest of them? Amazon Fire Stick, the other service that's not Apple. You can get it on an Apple phone. Android, there you go. Couldn't remember. I'm an Apple user, so I can't remember. Joey Cannon, I'll play gladly. Yes, you can go on there and purchase it $19.99. So we're really kicking off our season. We're getting better every week. We're adding stuff to this every week. Stephen Blakesley's working very hard. Our live timing and scoring should be able to hook up with no problem. We've already put our stuff in to make sure we're ready for you. I can't wait to come see your track. I've only been there one time back in 2002.
It's a lot different now. There's been a lot of change out there. I do want to tell you this, Roy. I do want to tell you, with your streaming service, Speed Union TV, I've watched a few of them. The quality of your broadcast is, I'm telling you right now, hands down, to watch it on your TV, the best one out there. I mean, you're just looking at the quality of the broadcast and the picture you get and what you guys are doing. I'd say right now, you guys are right there with all the guys that are established and being the new kid on the block and going up against the stuff you're going up against. Job well done.
Well, thank you. I appreciate hearing that a lot. David Munoz, damn good show tonight. You've done amazing, Cory and Sandy. Speed Union will love Willamette. Willamette Speedway is amazing. Okay, all of you guys that are selling me on Willamette, you don't have to. I know where Cory and Sandy live. I hang out with Cory and Sandy. If nothing else, getting to see and hang out with them is worth the price of admission and the trip. So just that part of it alone. And of course, Nina, you can't forget her because she's funny, and I know Eric will be there. I hope she can find her key to the motel room or the right room. That's all I want to know.
She don't want to talk about that night.
Yeah. Thank God we will still have these racetracks to go to. That's because of all the great promoters out there. I just like to say thank you, and we still have these racetracks to go to. Keep up the great work, guys. Zach Nelson, Cory is a class act, truly cares for not only the fans but the drivers too. Will Emmett's going to be a great place. Brent Kuehl loves Speed Union TV. Sandra Penfold, you are way too sweet. Ryan Nelson, it's a great track for sure. Sandy Penfold, every door, second floor. Well, so I'm going to tell on myself. Alcohol was not involved in this adventure, so this makes it better. We stayed on the third floor in Lathrop this past weekend. I rolled. You have to go downstairs to smoke, so I rolled down the ladder, went outside, smoked, come back, rode the elevator up, drinking coffee, having a good day. The doors opened up. I walked out. I walked right down the hallway like I'm going to my room, put the key on the door. I'm on the damn second floor and not the third floor. I have no excuse other than I'm old, so we'll leave it at that. So there you go. So Erica, don't worry about what you did. You had an excuse. I had none other than I was stupid. So there you go. That's me. Thank you guys for tuning in. Great show. Y'all have a good night, and I will be live again tomorrow night with Jeffrey Leroy Hudson out of Keno, Oregon, IMCA modified driver, past Pro Stock champion, sprint car driver. Very nice young man. So
very talented, good kid. Absolutely. That'll be a good show.
Yep. So come back on here tomorrow night, 7 p.m. See you Saturday, Cory. Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Roy. Appreciate you. Peter, if you're still watching, good to talk to you. We'll talk again on the phone soon. You guys have a great day. We'll see you Saturday.
All right. Thank you.